Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Utility Sports. And in today's video, we're coming at you with our NFL Week 12 predictions and pick 'em here at Utility Sports. This is something we've been doing on the channel now for most of this season. So if you guys are interested in seeing us in future videos, we cover a lot of other stuff as well, the NFL draft, college football, NBA. We do a ton of stuff here at Utility Sports. That's why we are Utility Sports. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of our content in the future. Leave a thumbs up on today's video if you do enjoy. And also leave a comment on some of your predictions and thoughts for the NFL. Of course, remember, this is Pick'em, not against the spread, but we will talk about some against the spread throughout the week as well. Austin, let's jump into it here now. Looking at our records, you're 3 games ahead of me. You picked up a game again on me. I'm 3 games back now, guys. I'm doing my best to try and keep up with the Wizard. He just keeps pulling away a little bit more and more. We've got some difference in picks this week as well, so we'll see if I'm even further down next week. If you guys are doing this for money, you probably want to agree with Austin, not Sheldon, here on the channel. Moving into our Week 12 bye teams here, Austin, we got the Kansas City Chiefs, who had a big win over the Dallas Cowboys today. Their defense played great. And then the Arizona Cardinals also got a win with Colt McCoy under center. A good win for them. Going into Seattle, pulled that one out. Those two teams deservingly earned their bye weeks, this time coming off of wins for both teams. Then looking at our locks here, Austin, briefly, you've got the Atlanta Falcons as a lock over your Jacksonville Jaguars. Austin, how come you pick against the Jaguars so often?
It's because they're brutal. That's why. They're absolutely atrocious. So I feel confident, even though Atlanta doesn't have a single competent receiver. I think they're still going to be able to burn Tyson Campbell and that secondary. And now let me ask you this here. You have the Eagles over the Giants. And this is going to be, I feel, a close game, but you feel confident enough that the Eagles are going to pull it out. Why?
I think Jalen Hurts' legs are just a little too much for the New York Giants to deal with. Even though the Giants have some really nice defensive players, I think holistically, Jalen Hurts is going to become problematic for that team. And Jaguars fans, don't get too mad at Austin. He is a Jags fan just like you. So don't burn our channel down. Don't try and burn us at the stake here. He's just suffered through some of the pain that you guys have had to deal with amidst your 2-8 season. For the upsets here, I'm going with the 0-9-1 Lions with the win over the division rival Bears. Of course, crazy thing this week, we've got 3 Thursday day games because it is Thanksgiving this week. Hopefully you guys all have a very nice Thanksgiving. Spend it with family. Enjoy your time off of work if you have some time off, or enjoy that time and a half pay as well if you do have to work. Austin, you've got the Bengals over the Steelers here in this one. We both picked North divisional matchups. You went AFC, I went NFC here. Austin, why are the Bengals an upset here over the Steelers?
Yeah, so the Steelers are actually favored in this game despite them being on the road. I think the Cincinnati Bengals once again are starting to see that underdog label after dropping a couple of games. They did pick up a big win against the Raiders on the road. However, once again, it feels like they are underdogs in a lot of their games moving forward.
We'll see if Jamar Chase can have a big day. We'll touch on this game a little bit more throughout the video. Starting with Thanksgiving football. This game starts at 11:30 Central Time here. The Bears at the Detroit Lions. Austin, the 0-9-1 Lions hosting Chicago here. We know how accustomed these two teams are to playing on Thanksgiving. I went Lions, you went Bears. Break down why Chicago, Justin Fields gets it done in this one.
Yeah, so I'm not really even sure if Justin Fields is going to play with his rib injury at the time of recording. We don't know the status of him moving forward. It would have to be a potential Andy Dalton-led Chicago team. I think it's going to be a tough game to watch from a visual standpoint, watching these two teams duke it out on Thanksgiving football. However, I think Chicago can narrowly edge it out, and really the Lions quarterback situation is not any better either. So either way you look at it, I think it's going to be a close game, but I do like the Bears slightly. I like Chicago's defense more than I like Detroit's.
I opted with the Lions here. They lost to a backup quarterback today against the Baltimore Ravens, but the Ravens are a little bit better of an overall team than the Chicago Bears. I think most of you would agree with that. Lions have been playing competitive. They had a tie 2 weeks ago. They've been in some close games, lost all of them up to this point, besides their one tie. However, I think this is the turning of the tide, and I'm even going to push it a little bit further. I think they win by 2 scores in this one. I'm really putting my money in on the Detroit Lions at home Thanksgiving Day. I think they come out and ball and beat down the Chicago Bears at home. I'm excited for this matchup. Great way to start Thanksgiving. Make sure you're eating some good Thanksgiving food and enjoying the Detroit Lions winning over the Chicago Bears in this one. Austin, our next game here, we got the Thanksgiving game between the Raiders and the Dallas Cowboys. America's team, often coined We both opted for the Dallas Cowboys in this one. They're at 7-3, lost to the Kansas City Chiefs today. Did not even score a touchdown against the defense that struggled this year. Why is it going to be a different story in this one?
I think they're going to really focus running the ball and playing out a play action as well. I think that's going to be key for Dallas, really testing the secondary of this Raiders team. Hopefully they'll be a little healthier. Hopefully they'll have CeeDee Lamb back. Hopefully Amari will be healthy. That was kind of a big reason why they struggled. Quite a few injuries offensively for Dallas against Kansas City. So I do like them. Hopefully they're healthy, and that's really going to be the tipping point.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys just are going to come back. Every time they've lost this year, they came back and performed. They lost week 1, had a nice week 2 bounce back win. Then they lost earlier this season and then came back and thrashed the Atlanta Falcons. Here, they lost this week to the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think, unfortunately for Las Vegas, they happen to be the next team on the schedule. Dallas not going to look to lose twice. They're going to come in, move to 8-3 after this one. Then our final Thanksgiving game, Thanksgiving night, we got the Bills at the Saints here, and it's a really depleted Saints team. Of course, no Alvin Kamara this week. Taysom Hill was questionable coming in, and it's Trevor Siemian led at quarterback as well, Austin. Is this more of, what the Saints don't have potentially than what the Bills do have?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. And I do think Buffalo has to bounce back in a big way. And to your point, I mean, they have been able to have some big bounce back wins after disappointing losses. The Buffalo Bills haven't had, a ton of success against competent teams. The New Orleans Saints are a little depleted, like you had mentioned. I think this is a must-win, actually, for the Bills in order to keep pace with the Patriots in that division. So I'm going to go ahead and opt for the Bills. Josh Allen should have a humongous game.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen's going to have to show out in this one. We know the Bills don't really get a lot of production out of their running game usually, and I think the Saints, with the linebacker play that they have, some of the pieces along that defensive front, it's going to be key that Josh Allen takes advantage of them through the air. Then we move into our Sunday slate, of course. We've got a really good collection of games as well, and I think a lot of really close ones where me and Austin actually had the highest difference of opinion throughout this part of the video than we've had on all of the other videos so far, so I think this is going to be a really good one. Starting here with one that we have consensus on, Austin. We both picked the Bengals at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, the Steelers have that really, really good defense coming at 5-3-1 before Sunday Night Football, because we're recording this at our typical time right before that Sunday Night Football game. And Austin, the Bengals, like you said, beat the Raiders today, 6-4 now on the season. Why are the Bengals going to beat the Steelers here?
I think they're going to have to be opportunistic in this game. I think they're going to force a couple of Big Ben turnovers. Trey Hendrickson, if he does play in this one, is really going to have to get after Big Ben in order to force some turnovers. That's going to be the key point for them. The Bengals maintaining possession of the ball, not turning it over. I think that very well could be the big difference in this one.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the key things to watch. Also, Austin, a quick question here. Over-under for you. Jamar Chase going up against a great defense here in Pittsburgh. Over-under 75 yards.
I'm going to actually hit the under on this one. I know it's kind of surprising, but it's going to have to be Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins that step up big time in the passing game.
You heard it here. Jamar Chase probably going to be a key emphasis of the Steelers here in this one. Of course, we know how divisional matchups go. Tend to try and take away your best weapons. Jamar Chase going to be having all eyes on him this week. And like you said, Tyler Boyd, some of those other players that they have, Joe Mixon and T. Higgins as well, going to have to step up big for Cincinnati. Our next matchup here, we have the Panthers at Dolphins. This is one I did not like to pick. I did not want to have to make a pick for this one because I swear half of my wrong picks this year have come when I picked either Carolina winning or Carolina losing. I swear out of their 11 games, I picked them all wrong. I don't know what Carolina is. I can't predict who they are. Austin, you opted for them as well, which makes me feel a little bit better looking at your record compared to mine. Why are the Panthers going to go into Miami and win?
I think this is more of, kind of a revitalized energy with this team. You have Christian McCaffrey back and here to stay. You have Cam Newton, who definitely has, really given a different vibe to this team. Sam Darnold did not provide the same spark, but Cam Newton looked good in that game against Washington. They unfortunately dropped the game. However, I think with this newfound energy and a winnable game on the schedule here on the road, I do like the Panthers in this one.
Right. Even with some of Cam's faults as a quarterback, you have to give it to him for his leadership abilities, the way that the team kind of rallies around him, and also getting CMC back has been huge. He got a nice touchdown today from Cam Newton, and the two of them picking back up on some of the chemistry they had before Cam Newton left the first time around. Eagles at Giants here, another interdivision matchup here. Giants 3-6 before the fun Monday Night Football matchup, and the Eagles coming at 5-6, had a very nice win today. We both opted for Philadelphia. I talked a little bit earlier on in the show about Jalen Hurts' legs. What more is it for Philadelphia in this one?
Yeah, it's all going to be Jalen Hurts in this one. I think he has really started to figure it out. He's been dynamic with running the football, definitely developing as a passer as time goes on as well. They're getting healthier too. They have Miles Sanders back, which is huge for this run game. This team's definitely got some momentum heading into this game. I do like the Eagles, even though they are on the road against a divisional opponent.
Right. I think one thing, too, is the chemistry between Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith. We're starting to see how that really plays itself week in, week out. The two of them can work together well. Of course, Devontae Smith, one of the best options here for Philadelphia offensively, and then Jalen Hurts doing it himself, especially when it's in the red zone. Pushed in 2 touchdowns on the ground today. Expect him to push in at least one more here against the New York Giants. That's my thoughts on this game. Titans at Patriots now. We have the Titans at 8-3, of course. No Derrick Henry, coming off of a loss to the Houston Texans. I think one of the surprising losses of the week. And then Patriots at 7-4, a team that's really picked up momentum here. I think a lot of teams starting to get nervous a little bit about how good New England's been playing with rookie quarterback Mac Jones. We both opted for New England. For me, the key here was this game's in Foxborough. If this was in Tennessee, I would have opted for the Titans. Austin, why are you picking New England here?
Yeah, I like it that it is in Foxborough. Mac Jones has been playing really good football as of late. New England's starting to mesh at the right time, really starting to figure it out. Their secondary is dangerous, especially J.C. Jackson, his ability to force turnovers. Ryan Tannehill had 4 picks in his last game. He very well could have a multi-turnover game against the Patriots as well.
You heard it here. That defense of New England has been clicking. Matthew Judon's been having a great year for them as well. They've got a lot of nice pieces defensively. J.C. Jackson, I think that top cornerback there that they have. The Patriots, they're clicking. I expect them to move 8-4 and really compete for that AFC bye week for the playoffs. We're starting to get to the point where we can talk about that a little bit in some of these videos. Now we have another difference in opinion here, Austin. 4-6 Falcons come into Jacksonville, into Duval County. I've got the Jaguars, your Jaguars in this one, and you've got the Falcons beating your Jags. I think the key guy you're probably going to talk about, I would have to guess, is Kyle Pitts and his ability to cross the middle in this one, and also maybe Cordero Patterson. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, Cordero Patterson is the X factor in this game because you're really going to have to rely on Damian Wilson covering one of those guys. I'm not as concerned about whoever they decide to put Miles Jack on or give him the assignment of, but I'm more worried about Damian Wilson at that role. Definitely going to be a mismatch nightmare, whoever is placed upon him. But for this Jacksonville team, they can't move the ball. They're atrocious offensively. They can't run it. They can't throw it. There's so many issues with this roster, in particular, looking at that tackle spot. It's been awful for them so far this year. And the corner room has been super inconsistent. Even Atlanta's receivers might look somewhat competent in this one.
I'm going to come in with another bold take here, Austin. I think
go.
the Jacksonville Jaguars lead wire to wire in this one. I think they start out strong, and I think they run behind James Robinson. He has another great day. Fantasy owners, make sure you're starting James Robinson this week because I think they're going to run all over Atlanta. I think Jacksonville wins this one with a wire-to-wire victory, which is really, really bold to say for a 2-8 team.
Wrong.
Moving into our next matchup here, we've got the 6-3 Buccaneers. Of course, this is recorded before Monday Night Football again, and the Indianapolis Colts coming in at 6-5. Jonathan Taylor has been a beast this year, Austin. Let's start with him a little bit before this actual matchup. We were talking off camera about where we kind of rank him amongst all running backs when healthy in the NFL. Austin, what's your thoughts on that topic?
Yeah, definitely a guy that's in that top 3 discussion. You have Christian McCaffrey, you have Derrick Henry, and you have Jonathan Taylor. Delvin Cook's another guy, and Alvin Kamara. That's kind of rounding out your top 5 for running backs in the league. But Jonathan Taylor is proving why he's a worthy draft selection for this team. Offensive line play has a lot to do with his success as well, so let's give a little credit there. But Jonathan Taylor is phenomenal in terms of his overall vision, his ability to break tackles and catch the ball in the backfield. He's a complete package for this team, and it's really a big reason why they've been so successful this year. And Carson Wentz has gotten better and better as the weeks have gone on. Definitely excited about this Colts team. However, I think Tampa's going to be too much for them because one thing that Tampa does really well is stop the run. Definitely a couple of run stuffers that are going to make it tough for this Colts offense.
Right, the Buccaneers are so strong in that front seven. I think that they're going to make it at least a little bit more difficult for Indianapolis than some of their past opponents have been able to do. I think Jonathan Taylor does not amass 120 yards, probably still gets to that 100 mark, but I think there's just going to be a little bit difference in time of possession here for Indianapolis. I think it's going to be a little bit harder and probably 1 or 2 timely turnovers that leads to Tampa Bay winning this one in Indianapolis. Jets at Texans here. We got my New York Jets going up against the Houston Texans. Both teams at 2-8. probably both of these teams looking a little bit more ahead to the NFL draft than the remaining games on the schedule here, Austin. I went for the Texans in this one. This is a gross game to me. I just don't think that this is a really projectable game. We don't know if Zach Wilson's going to play. We don't know if Mike White's going to play. It could be Joe Flacco again this week. And if it is, maybe Elijah Moore has another good game. You went for the Jets. What's your reasoning?
Elijah Moore is going to be the X factor in this one. I think he very well could amass 100 yards in this game. Michael Carter should also have a big game against this Texans defense. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. I think it's going to be a scratch and claw and come down to who turns over the ball less, which very well could lean the Texans' way because Tyrod generally does a pretty good job taking care of the ball. This past game, however, he did not do that. He had 2+ interceptions in that one, but looking at the New York Jets, I think they're going to have a slight edge, even on the road. I know it's kind of a bold take, but that's what you have to do, and that's what you have to do to win and pick them.
Yeah, this is one of those games that I would consider a trap game, especially if you're doing parlay betting. I would not include this game on any parlay bets because honestly, both of these teams are so bad that we don't know which one's going to pull it out. I think Jets are probably better on paper, but then you're playing in Houston, which kind of adds its own element to things. Jets at 2-8, Texans at 2-8. I would stay away from this one if I was actually betting real money on it, rather than just doing the pick 'em here for the channel. Jets at Texans, just not a good matchup for betting purposes, in my opinion, unless you feel really, really strongly about it. But I would stay away from this one. Chargers, before Sunday Night Football, coming at 5-4. They go into Denver this week, playing in mile-high altitude against the 5-5 Broncos. We got an AFC West matchup here, Austin. We both opted for the Chargers. I think they're just clearly the better team on paper. Rashawn Slater's been playing great this year. He's probably a guy who, if he was playing a little bit more of an attractive position, would be in that Rookie of the Year conversation even. What's your thoughts on the Chargers-Broncos game?
I think the Chargers are going to have to run the ball effectively. I do like the Chargers secondary as well. Very, very good, solid unit. However, the Chargers are just going to be a little bit too much offensively, and Denver is going to have to pick it up. Definitely going to have to run the ball effectively in this one in order to have a chance. It's going to take a big game from Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon combination to win it for them. However, I still just like the Chargers. I like Justin Herbert more. I think this is the Chargers game that they got to win.
Yeah, I think the Broncos are a competitive team. They're going to come out and try and fight in this one. For me, Austin Eckler, Chargers running backs, they're going to be a little bit too much, especially out of the backfield in pass-catching situations. I just don't think the Broncos have enough linebacker play to really deal with Los Angeles in this interdivision matchup. Moving on now, we have the Minnesota Vikings at the San Francisco 49ers. I feel really strongly about this one. I think the Vikings win here by 2 scores. I think the Vikings are the best 5-5 team in the NFL. They could easily be 7-3, 8-2, honestly, when you look at some of their losses this year. You know, a missed kick against the Arizona Cardinals. You have some late game endings where they lose in overtime to Baltimore, for example. They're a really talented team. They've got a lot of nice players. Their cornerback play has been very inconsistent. Xavier Woods had a really tough day today. But holistically, that offense can really move the ball, and they've got some nice defensive line play. They also have really, really good linebacker in Eric Kendricks. I love what the Vikings are. I think they make it tough for San Francisco, and I think they're going to really, really pick away at this 49ers defense with their ability to throw the ball against that 49ers secondary. Austin, why'd you pick San Francisco here?
Because this is a Vikings game that they would lose. It's just because they come off of a humongous momentum win against the Green Bay Packers, but now they're going on the road to San Francisco. The last couple of years, they've seen their better days when they go to San Fran. Definitely had their struggles there, but I think it's going to come down to Nick Bosa getting after Kirk Cousins. This front seven of San Francisco is going to make it very, very tough. And I also think the big X factor once again is going to be Deebo Samuel. How can he expose these corners for the Vikings? So once again, I don't see it being that way. I definitely think San Francisco's got a really good chance in this one. I still like them in the game, despite some of the injuries that they do have currently. Once again, it's going to be a tight one. I do like San Fran, though.
Interesting difference here in opinion. I can see both sides of the coin, honestly. Minnesota, to me, just the better team. But like you said, I wouldn't be surprised, too, if by the end of the first quarter, for some reason, they're down by 14 points because they just didn't come out to play. Vikings fans, you know exactly what we're referencing here, too, with that one. Moving into our next game here, we have Rams at Packers. And like we talked about, the Packers, the team that lost this week to the Minnesota Vikings, dropped that NFC North matchup. And we have the 7-3 Rams coming in. We both opted for Green Bay. I think the fact that this game's at Lambeau is super important, especially as we're starting to get to the kind of the cooler temperatures up here in the north. Austin, Packers, why are they winning this matchup against Matt Stafford and the LA Rams?
I love them being at home. I think Aaron Rodgers, after that tight tight loss to the Vikings. He's going to come out hot. I think that it's going to be honestly the best game of the week, considering the caliber of these two teams. In Lambeau, it's going to be probably a cold one, I would imagine, at the point in the game when it starts. But the Green Bay Packers are going to come out ready to play. I think A.J. Dillon could have a huge game as well.
Yeah, A.J. Dillon going to have to be a guy to watch, because against this Rams defense, you need to have at least some balance in your offense to keep them honest. Also, fun matchup here. We got Jalen Ramsey, Devontae Adams. Again, those two guys are always super special, super fun to watch when they're going head-to-head. And I think this is the must-watch game of the week if you're a casual NFL fan. Sunday Night Football here. We got the Browns at 6-5 going into Baltimore to take on the 7-3 Ravens, an AFC North matchup. We had a ton of interdivision matchups here, Austin, and I think this is probably the best of the bunch for interdivisional games here. That AFC North, super congested. The Browns are fourth right now in the AFC North at 6-5, and a win in this one would put them in a half game back of the Baltimore Ravens. Very, very tight matchup. We both opted for Baltimore here. Break down your keys to the game.
I think it's going to be definitely the Baltimore Ravens' ability to stop the run, because if you're able to clog up Nick Chubb early on in the game, forcing the Cleveland Browns to really open it up and throw and get them throwing, a ton of times in the game, that's obviously the key to beating them, because the Browns are so dangerous out of that play action. So if you can bottle it up early and kind of take that out of the equation, that's the definite key to victory for me. Lamar Jackson, once again, is going to have to have a huge game, as he is every single week. He needs to be expected that with the current state of the roster, especially at the running back position. Rashad Bateman's going to be another guy to keep your eye on.
Yeah, Rashad Bateman's looked great so far since he started playing when he came back from that injury this year. The Ravens got a good one in him, and I think Lamar Jackson and him are going to hook up a few times for some really key third down conversions, a few key plays in this one. And I also think that the Ravens, just that front seven play, like you talked about, it's just too good. They're going to limit what the Browns do best, that's running the football. And I think the Ravens win this one probably by one score. My guess is a 7-point deficit here at the end of this one for Cleveland. Which brings us into our final game of the week, Monday Night Football here. And it's maybe not as sexy of a game as a game like the LA Rams at the Green Bay Packers. Here we got the Seattle Seahawks at Washington in this one. The Seahawks disappointingly lost to the Arizona Cardinals this week. No Kyler Murray, no DeAndre Hopkins. Find themselves at 3-7, and they don't have their first-round pick from the Jamal Adams trade. Then you're looking at Washington here at 4-6. I opted for Washington. You went with Seattle. My key to the game is, how does Seattle limit Taylor Heineke's legs and plays outside of the pocket? I think Taylor Heineke really, really dynamic, and something that a lot of people don't really expect when you look at him as a player. His arm talent's not elite, but the way he uses his feet to kind of create plays outside of the pocket off schedule, that's really what separates him here in this one. For me, for Washington, their defensive front's still great. I think they're going to make Russell Wilson at least have to work. And I see the Seahawks fall into 3-8. What's your thoughts?
I think Seattle's going to win this game. Reason being, I know they're on the road. However, Russell Wilson had never lost 3 consecutive starts. He's done that this year. I don't know if he can go a 4th consecutive loss. That's really, really hard to believe for me. He's so good. He's going to get back in that film room. They're going to have a great game plan for this week. I think the receivers are going to have to be phenomenal in this one. And it's going to have to be an offensive show for Seattle. Despite that defensive line for Washington being banged up, they're still a competent D-line. I think they're going to give Russell Wilson some problems. However, he's great at countering those pass rushes, and I think this very, very well could be a good game, despite the records not suggesting it won't be any good.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fun game to watch at the very least. You have two guys who can make plays happen at that quarterback position. Of course, Russell Wilson probably the better one of the two. I think everyone would agree with that. But Taylor Heineke, Russell Wilson, 2 fun players to watch. I know the records aren't great, but still a decent matchup, and I think one that's going to come down to the wire. Hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video for the Week 12 Pick'em and predictions here for the NFL season. Remember, we're going to be coming at you with Week 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, and playoff predictions and Pick'em as well. This is the place you guys want to be subscribed. We have an NFL mock draft that comes out every single Monday as well. We're starting our 2nd round mock drafts. We started it last week. We've got so much here on the channel that you guys should want to be a part of. We want to put you in utility sports. You guys are exactly why we record these videos, take time out of our day so that we can build a collaborative platform where your voice is heard on the channel. Again, thanks so much for watching, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, smash that like button, and we'll catch you in the very next utility sports video.